Yeah, yeah, but somebody tell me what it means to have hope. Cause that works and belongs in my soul. Yeah, I'm human, I'm pessimistic by nature, but it all turn around and the seeds of a
Do take your seats. I mean, this morning is about hope, and we'll hear a few things about hope and let that family have hope in the future. So, as I said earlier, we've got quite a few things, sort of one after the other. So I'm not going to come back onto the stage for a little while, but we've got a few different things going on. We've got a little video to show you now. Then we've got a few people coming to their testimony. So enjoy.
And I'm going to be talking to you guys, those lights are a bit bright, aren't they? I'm going to be talking to you guys about my testimony, how I became a Christian and how it's impacted my life and made me a much stronger person in my faith. So, I guess I'll start at the beginning, good place to start. I wasn't brought up in a Christian family. I had never heard of Jesus other than in nativity plays, and so I had absolutely no Christian influence in my life whatsoever. And I was born in Cheshire. When I was about 6, we moved to Wales, my whole family. I'm actually the youngest of 7 kids to my mum. There's 9 now, but I'll get to that later. And being the youngest, I was actually really timid, really shy, and those of you who actually know me know that I'm really not that person anymore. And my story is about how God turned me from that person into who I am now. So, when we moved to Wales, we were living there. I went to a youth club which was run by Christians, but I don't remember ever hearing the word Jesus mentioned when I went there. If it wasn't anything significant to me at that point. It might just be because I was young. But my dad left my mum when I lived in Wales. He left her when I was about 6 and a half, or just turning 7, I think. And it was really difficult. My mum's disabled, so she can't work, she can't drive, and we ended up having to move back to Northampton. I say back to Northampton, I was never from here, but the rest of my family were. And we were living in a refuge for abused women and children. Many people who ran this refuge have been a part of this church, or have come to this church. And it was run by Christians. We weren't abused, but we had nowhere to live. We were poor, and they took pity on us, and I really thank them that they did. A while after being there for a few months, we started attending. It was like a small Sunday service that they did up in the lounge in this refuge. And now, the only reason we actually went was because me and my brothers went there to take the mick out of the Christians. So yeah. But we did learn about Christianity quite a lot. Like, it's interesting to think how much we remember from that, because we weren't there to pay attention, we were there to take the mick, and it's just been drilled into our heads now. So after a few months, I learned about Christianity, and then my mum got asked if she wanted to become a Christian by one of the workers at this refuge, and she said she did, and so did 2 of my brothers and 2 of my sisters, and I did, but I only said it because my sister Emma was like my hero, and she said it, and I just copied everything she did. So I was like, oh yeah, she's doing it, I'll do it. I'll be a Christian, that'll be fun. And again, I didn't realise what I was doing, but it's one of the best decisions I could have ever made. But still, I wouldn't say that's when I gave my life to Christ. That's when I learned about Christianity for the first time, rather than actually becoming a Christian. But there was this one Bible verse that I remember from the refuge, and it said, it's in Nahum 1:7. It says, "The Lord is good, a refuge in times of trouble. He cares for those who trust in Him." And that verse has always kind of stuck with me as a really big defining verse that has influenced my life and made me trust in God. So, things got a bit better after we became a Christian, as they do, because God provides, and we ended up finding a house, and we moved into it, my mum and the 7 of us. And then my dad came back on the scene, and a little while later, it turns out my dad had become a Christian during the time my parents had divorced, and so had we, so that was good. And we were all got together, and my parents got married again, right in this very room. I wasn't a member of this church, but they got married right here. And then 3 years later, my dad left again. This time he left for someone who we had always seen as a grandparent. I know that sounds really strange, and it is as strange as it sounds. There was quite an age gap. But we would go to this woman's house, and we'd go around for chocolate. She'd make us a cup of tea, and she'd give us pocket money and all that kind of stuff. And then it got a bit strange, so we didn't really go around anymore. But yeah, so my dad left, and it absolutely destroyed my family. Like, everyone was pushed right down, and one of my sisters turned against God, turned against men. The rest of my family have kind of gradually gone further and further away. None of them are attending church. I'm the only one, other than my parents, who attend church. And it was just a really, really rough time. But in it all, I realised that the people who had helped me the most in my life, the people who were standing by me and lifting me up when I was falling down, were my Christian friends. And I wasn't like really, really into Christianity. Like, I called myself a Christian, I attended church, but I wouldn't say, even still, I was like all that into it. But one particular influence in my life is Johnny's story. I have to mention him publicly, humiliating. Because when I found out that my dad had left that time, first thing I did was got on the phone to Johnny. I don't know if he even understood anything I was saying, because I was like, crying all over the place. It was horrible. And he was just like a really, really strong person for me, and that's what's held our friendship together this whole time, I guess. So yeah, although a bunch of my family are backslidden, it is written in Acts 16:31. This is when Paul and Silas are in prison, and there's a big earthquake. And the prison guard thinks all the prisoners have escaped, and he's going to kill himself, and they stop him killing himself, and they say, and he asks, "How can I be saved?" And they reply, "Believe in the Lord Jesus, and you will be saved, you and your household." Now that's a huge, huge deal to me, because, like, probably, I don't even know how much percent of my family are Christians, but a certain percent of my family are Christians, and a certain percent aren't. And I love this verse because it says you and your household, and it doesn't just mean whoever lives in your house. It means like your household, your family, the group of people who live together or are really, really close in that way. And I would love, love, love to see the whole of my family become Christians and learn to love God the way that I do. So this is going to seem a bit insignificant, but before my dad left the second time, we had our kitchen floor fitted. That seems really strange. But after he left, we were having our bathroom floor fitted. When the carpet fitter came back to fit the bathroom floor, my mum somehow got into a conversation about my dad leaving her with 7 kids and all this stuff, and crazy man asked my mum out on a date. At this point, he knew she had 7 kids as well, which is just ridiculous. So, and it turns out this guy had 2 kids of his own. And they were the same age as my eldest brother and sister. So yeah, there's always this joke about my mum running off with the carpet man, because, you know, they're running off with the postman type thing. And this guy kind of came into my life and he started taking over. He was being dad, and I was like, whoa, what are you doing? You're not my dad. Get out of my life. I don't like you. None of us liked him. We were all constantly complaining about him. Couldn't stand the guy, until one day I just realised, hold on a second, this guy, this was about a year after I'd known him. In this year that I've known him, he's been more of a dad to me than my dad was in the 14 years that he was around, or not around, and around occasionally. And it just struck me, and I thought, this guy is actually a really, really good guy. And it ended up that my mum married him here again, so she married 2 different men here. One of them she married twice. So, and he became a Christian before they got married, by the way, and that's his own testimony that I'm not going to go into that because it'll take too long. And that's when I kind of realised God had brought everything bad out of my life and had fixed everything that had gone wrong. And it was just an immense time in my life. And that's kind of when I realised, because I'd always been this timid, kind of shy, quiet person, I kind of realised, this isn't going to get me anywhere. I want to go out and I want to tell everyone what God has done in my life. I want to tell him how he's made me the strong person that I am today, compared to who I was when Satan was breaking me right down. And there's this verse, which I found actually last night, which really, really kind of sums up what the kind of person I've become. It says, "For God did not give us a spirit of timidity, but a spirit of power, of love, and of self-discipline." And I just think that's just such a strong verse, because it's telling us that we're not called to be quiet, we're not called to be in the background, we're called to be there at the forefront, we're called to be shouting what God has done for us and preaching about it and letting people know how he can influence their lives, and that's what I came here to do. So, to sum up, I just want to let you know that no matter where you are in your life, if you're right at the pit of life and you can't take it anymore, if things are going wrong, you can't stand what's going on in your life and it's just not where you want to be, you can hope in God. Because he's always going to be there, he's always going to be strength. He's strengthened me in ways I couldn't even imagine. And that's how it will be for you. So that's me done. But thanks a lot for listening.